Good afternoon, everyone here. When I was 6 years old, my dad changed my life by buying me a Hermes baby typewriter that could type in cursive. And I was so fascinated by that product that I used to type every night. My two fingers going till midnight sometimes. Till my mom used to come to the door and glare at me and anything more. It was so fascinating. So, thanks to my dad. Currently, I work at CDC. I love my research, love my job, and also love writing fiction. A collection of short stories from a printed page was published last year. Short stories and check it out. And strangely, I prefer reading poems. So I would like to thank Waqas for inviting me today here. And I'm so glad that I could come and share my work. Most of these poems have been published, some in some journal or the other. And I would like to get going on that. And the first one is actually called Stuttering. And it's about a girl who stutters. And it is connected to honor killing. By definition, an honor killing is the homicide of a member of a family by other members due to the belief that the victim has brought shame or dishonor upon the family or has violated the principles of the community or a religion. Stuttering. Hard not to seem insane when you say nothing. Start slow, stammer every day. Sit quiet while watching mother's iron. Her blood oozing like old rain from within walls. My uncles killed her. Even my favorite one heard a stone. In honor, they said, hoops. Hard not to seem cold when you do nothing but stare. People weeping, pushing your little head against their stomachs. Father's friend said, stuttering. Sometimes voice doesn't come out, it's too much background noise, he said. We lived next to rail tracks. Trains came too often, sometimes shriveled. Later, when I spoke, I sounded too breathless, too soft, too often for people to bother finding out what. They nodded, just nodded. Not coming close like mother, not touching my hair, not smelling nice and honest. Hard not to seem meaningless when after 2 decades you sound just the same. What do you say to white hospital walls and people not your own? Those trains don't come anymore. Father's friend didn't talk about other noises, louder, that I keep hearing. The noises from the curses that came with the stones, from mother crumbling to the ground, her stifled lament sounding like my name. This next one is called Don't Judge a Roach. Change the tone a little bit. Don't judge a roach. We live in isolation, yes. They say we prefer darkness, lying cooped up in crevices like blades of grass. They say we hustle from light and huddle in hundreds under rocks mossed in time. But we see no choice, and no one cares if we love gallivanting in light, with ugly backs, horrid gait, and clumsy, trembling whiskers. Would you nod with indulgent eyes, seeing us prancing on your porch, or snuggling in green lawns? Don't you create roaches from among your own? People who come out less beautiful, more conscious of scowling eyes, glaring daggers that judge. We dwell in lifelessness, silently wishing we were someone else. Pretty cats, maybe, roaming free and aimless, with no fear of crushing death from bitter, disgusted feet. Yes, we live in isolation. So this next one is about reminiscence. Do you remember sitting alone with your love in a quiet park? This poem is about reminiscence. It's called Scratched in Stone. I scraped moss of moldering walls, hoping to find scratches I had left. It seemed like eons ago when scrawls of lovers etched their presence. Little chronicles of seraphic times when we sat aimless on stone tops till the matron shadows of twilight forced us back home. This spur, I see markings of strangers, and for all the drop in color, they spur and remind, steeped in age as fading monuments. Roy and Chloe, Doug and Anna, Steve and Nora were here in 1959. Seals of human spirit, they feel no different from those of rajas and pharaohs who left undying trails to be discovered later as speaking landscape. As the sun shushes behind clouds, I'm not sure I'll ever find my piece of yore. I don't recall what I wrote, but when I was done scribbling, she peeled her head back and laughed. We've all seen animals in our neighborhood, in our backyard, wild animals whose presence stuns us. This poem is about such an animal. It's called Into Nests of Foes. Not sure what to expect, I pause, trampling my own shadow, forgetting to breathe, staring at a young coyote that stares back at me, standing in the clutch of my backyard, as unsure of my take on his presence. Not hearing his mother's words, he wandered into places he shouldn't, into nests of foes, of unsure men who pet stones when afraid, who in dread raise weapons to kill. Is he lost? Is he hungry? Did he run into my cove led by a hunted prey? Is he waiting for me to charge at him like predators usually do, or fling an object that he can duck? In the brief groping moment, I wish he'd feel my pain, my guilt of knowing what brought him to my door was me, my men, my people who took his grass away, seized his land to make homes and happiness, pushing his search for survival to grounds that were once his very own. As I turned around and stole into my home, I felt a stare behind me, but didn't look, hoping he would go away and return to his mother and tell her I saw a man whose eyes for once didn't fuss or fume, but bore something that said we were wrong. This last poem is called Wedding Bells for Little Feet. This is dedicated to all the victims of child marriage. I noticed her hand shivering on her knee, a brown doll clutched in another, teary beads rolling down her eyes, a face rubbed in turmeric, a mask of sadness. Why me? Why now, she asked. Why a 40-year-old for someone who still hopscotches on hastily drawn squares of chalk, who giggles at croaking frogs and runs free behind unfettered kites? But the whips of her father's belt struck her in many places, till she asked no more, and submission came dripping down those lowered eyelids. I saw them take her away, in a palki ornate, too heavy for a little child, too old for an 8-year-old girl. And me, I've survived the years, but many like her I lost, my playmates. They see me pine to hold them back, hide them away, but no triumphs ever in a battle lost to tradition, too cruel wisdom, to grooms often older than fathers who raised cruel whips. I survived the years. Yes, I have. For father couldn't whip an ugly child with a cleft lip that no one